In last class, we were discussing about roll-up summaries, right? Showing up total number of contacts in an account object, isn't it?
Yes.
So why we are doing that? So if I say that total number of contacts that I wanted to show in a account, like what are the events are involved there? See, contact
Uh,
might get create, contact might get delete, contact might get restored from recycle bin, or contact might also get updated, right?
yeah.
And which object is updating here? Contact object is getting updated by a user. And where you need to perform your DML operations? In which object? On your parent object,
Account.
account object, right? What is the relationship between account and contact?
Child to parent?
It's a lookup relationship, right?
Big relationship. Yeah.
When the objects are in lookup relationship, is it possible to create a master detailed relationship?
No.
No. So, due to this reason, we are implementing a trigger to do the job for us. Okay. So,
Okay.
let me go back and let me create an object name. I'm going to accounts, total fields, new field. I'll create one number field, number. Total contacts. Next, visible all. Next, I'm adding to a page layout event directly. The field got added. Accounts. How many contacts I have? Two. So my expectation is to show the two here. Total contacts. Under total contacts, I wanted to show the total number of count. So the simple one, let me go on edit object manager. Fields and relationships. Total contacts. So instead of account number, I'll replace with total numbers. This we discussed in last session. Now this is for a on insert we have written, right? On insert we captured like account IDs, we queried accounts, and then we updated the total accounts with the number of contacts available. Is it yes or no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Now what if I do the other way? What is the other events that we had? Contacts might also get updated, right?
Yeah.
Contact, if it is updating, how it get differentiated? How can you say the contact is updating in this case? To our requirement, when you will say this contact is updated and we need to execute our process.
After insert, you mean?
No, let's say I have a contact. Okay,
Okay.
when you say that the contact is updated, what will be that condition for us?
Oh.
Let's say I'm here in the contacts. I'm here in the contacts.
If contact updates.
That's only I'm editing my contact and I'm changing phone number and I'm saving it. Whether the contact is updating or not.
Yes.
Yes.
But the problem here is understand to this requirement, is this contact got edited or it is not edited? To this requirement, to do a roll-up summary, by considering this scenario, if I change
No.
my phone number, will this be considered as a modified contact or it's like a same contact?
I think it's same.
And yeah, if it is same, what will be the modified contact? Which field we need to change then?
Phone.
Okay. So now here, on what basis you are saying this contact is related to this account and this account, right? Hello.
Yeah.
Imagine this way. There is a person called Oracle and there is a person called Salesforce. Okay. Currently, three contacts are tagged to Salesforce. In out of three, one contact is Deepak. Now Deepak contact is getting updated, edited, and changed account name from Salesforce to Oracle and saved. Now this contact is treated as modified because the contact is moved from one account to another account, right?
Yes.
This moment we need to capture. We don't want to worry about any other field change because that is also technically it's a change, but to our consideration, to our requirement, only account ID field changes will cause an impact and you need to do a recalculations. Anytime if the account ID is modified, then you need to perform the recalculations, okay?
Okay.
Now, whether this can be done with after or before update?
After update.
After update, yes. Public void on after update. What kind of trigger context information we have in after update?
Uh,
New map, old map, right?
Yeah.
Get
So the void on after update, that's a variable, right? Variable name. You can write
here
any
you can write
variable.
it's a method name. You can write anything.
Okay, okay.
Set of ID, account IDs equal to new
new
set
set.
of for
Contact.
new map dot values. Then what I need to get?
If the old one gets updated.
Colon equal to old map dot get off new con dot id. So I'll get my old contact also. So now what is change? Now I'll say new con dot account id not equal to old con dot account id, right?
Yeah.
New con dot account id. Then which account ID need to capture? Do I need to capture new ID or do I need to capture old ID?
New ID.
Okay, if I capture new ID, the Salesforce have three contacts. Now out of three, one is moving to new account like Oracle. Now here you need to add one, here you need to reduce one. But if you capture only new ID, how can you update the old one?
Oh.
Right?
So we need both.
We need to capture both.
Yeah.
new con dot account ID. The same way, old con dot can you please be mute, like it's getting a lot of background noise. Old con dot account ID. Now we capture our account IDs. What is the next step that we need to perform now? We need to get the existing accounts. It's the same step. Select ID, total from contacts, the inner query. What is this query states about? Like total number of queries that were, child to parent query, right?
Yeah.
Child. So what I'll do now, I'll not reload my method. I'll not overload my method. So let's say private static void update accounts. Here I'll define my update my account set of ID comma account IDs. So simply I'll cut off this and I'll update into my collection. I'll say invoke update method account IDs. That's all. So because this is you will be writing same logic again even for after. So what I thought, if the logic is same, if the logic is same everywhere, then I can do, like, it's a easy thing. Illegal assignment string to decimal. Deploy contact trigger, control P, contact trigger handler. So now we need to invoke this class, right? So let's go back. And here I have before and after insert. Let me write after update. Say, in trigger I have find duplicates and everything. I don't have after trigger it. Let me create whether these are static or non-statics. Static second. Public static void after update. So here I have data of map of ID comma contact, new map colon map of ID comma contact, old map. In this I need to invoke my rollup summary. So here I'll be calling my rollup summary dot after update. So new map comma,
So while you're writing here in contact trigger handler,
because this is my trigger handler, right? So I don't write any code here. I'll call only my trigger handler. Whatever
yeah,
method,
but you have this roll up summary, right? Like
class directly, right? and you are
Yeah.
expecting me to write in a trigger, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which is all good. You can write. There is no there is no restrictions that you cannot use. You can directly call, but there is a practice for every object will have only one contact, one trigger with one event, and whatever code you will, whatever business logic you are writing, try to execute inside trigger handlers, not on the trigger.
Yeah, Deepak, but my question is like you have roll up summary class over here, right?
But this is a class. Roll up summary. Where
Yeah.
is trigger handler? Technically, the one we created, contact
Yeah.
trigger handler.
Yes.
Understand? Let me go back here. Okay. I have a trigger here. Okay. And I created one class for roll up.
Okay.
And Gautam created another class. Gautam class. And we have like CK Babu class. And we have Omsi. And now your roll up summary, Deepak class also having after insert, after insert, after insert, after insert. Everywhere we have after insert. This is my trigger. Okay. Because every class is a Apex class. So what I am doing, I'll be calling these classes directly from trigger. Yes or no? We can do, right, even if it is the events everywhere.
Yeah.
But now you can see everyone is updating trigger or not.
Okay.
But my expectation is that instead of trigger, I'll create one more thing called trigger controller or trigger handler. And then that will be invoked only by trigger controller trigger. Now what happened? Who is modifying this trigger?
Yeah.
Now what is this is the pattern that we have to follow in the real time.
Okay.
So you can call these things directly in trigger, no doubt in that. But
Yeah.
instead of touching trigger everyone, you will have a trigger controller to control. Through trigger control, you can call. The reason behind, you
But
remembered
trigger.
when we are executing our account triggers, when we are executing our roll-up summary or contact trigger, we had a blank. Trigger.isHandler is update contact is true or false. We have a control to ensure that is not gonna execute again, right?
Yeah.
Here we made false, right? Is update account contact, process account sync, you are stopping it.
Yeah.
Those things you can't do directly if everything is implemented from the trigger. So only what we are doing, we'll be creating our logics in a different classes, but we will not call those classes directly from a trigger. We'll be calling those classes from a trigger handlers.
Okay. But trigger handler is also a class, right?
Trig-
Now this contact trigger is a trigger, but trigger handler is a class.
okay, now let's go here. This is a class. I accept this is a class. And here we are calling sync trigger handler. Like there is an object called account contact sync. Yes or no?
Yes.
In account contact sync, when I am doing some operations on a contact, I need to stop executing this method.
Okay.
So if I call this method directly inside my account trigger, is that possible to stop executing this method?
No.
Is it possible to stop? Can you call your trigger explicitly?
No.
Then what is happening here? You are losing control. You are losing control what to execute, what to stop, and when to stop.
Okay.
If it is a method calling from another class using this class name account trigger handler dot is processing or is update contacts. Now we had a if condition. See here, right? If it
Yeah.
is true, then it is calling. If it is false, then what happens? It will not execute, right?
Yeah.
We are using that functionality here and we are ensuring due to some reasons we made it false, right?
Yeah.
We made it false. See, simple. If I want to call this one, you can call it, no issues. But you will lose
Okay.
control when to execute, when not to execute. But my pattern and the best practice is that trigger will have a trigger controller. From trigger controller, you can call n number of classes, whatever you wanted.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
All one thing is that all I'm saying, like, let's not do this, do
Mm.
this way. You can also do this one. And moreover, it's not something like this. For every class, you can create another trigger. It's okay to do that. Now we have after insert, right? You can create another contact trigger for rollup summary, contact trigger for rollup contract trigger. You can name it as rollup contract trigger. Again, you can define all the events. There is no restrictions. You can create another trigger also in the same object. But if you do that way, you will be losing control how the triggers are executing because triggers cannot be invoked explicitly in the sense by a developer. As soon as data changes in the object, triggers will automatically start at fires. There might have a chance sometime the first trigger will fire. There might have chances the last trigger will fire. So due to this, you will get so much data issues.
Okay.
Clear?
Yeah.
See, to your question, yes, you can call directly roll up summary into trigger because you are.
Okay.
But if you do that way, there is a complications. You cannot control the execution flow of your triggers. That's it. I mean, which method? If let's say certain operations I don't want to perform my roll up. Even in that case, if you are calling directly roll up summary, your contract trigger will invoke your roll up summary class. But this case, what I can do, I can
You
create a
can
flag. I can create a flag and I will say that, hey, do I need to execute rollup summary? Then I will say is rollup summary equal to true. If it is true, execute it. If I say false, it will not execute. So based on my operations, I know which operations I need to ensure, which operations I need to skip. This way I will be having more controller than keeping everything in the trigger. And if you ask me a question, do we need to write logic only in Apex classes? You can write all this logic. You can write all this logic directly in the trigger. That is also fine. You know, you don't want to create a class. You can write entire business logic inside trigger. It's okay to do that. The problem
Yeah.
here is that you'll not able to reuse the code. That's it.
Okay.
So you can call your methods directly. I mean, you can write your business logic, everything inside trigger. But that we don't think it's a right practice to do. So practice wise, you have to create a trigger. Trigger will call only controller. Once trigger is created with all the methods, trigger should be untouched. Trigger should be untouched. You are not supposed to touch trigger anymore. The statement will contain only one line. Trigger handlers and then that method name. That's it. Whatever you wanted to do further with a different functionality, from the trigger handler, you need to invoke your methods. Methods or whatever Apex classes you wanted, call that from a trigger handler. Yes, trigger handler is also another Apex class, but as a design, as a service model, we are defining, hey, this contact trigger will only call from trigger, and whatever the classes you need to call inside the contact trigger handlers. Clear?
Yeah.
else if trigger dot is after and trigger dot is update contact trigger handler after update. Deploy it. Let's test it. So now I'm in account. So what's the total count I had? Let me create one more contact. Save. So I'm creating contact 2. Save. So what is the total contact that we had under this account name now? Let me check it out. Three contacts, right? So now we can also check 3 contacts, yes or no. Now what I'm doing, I'll be going back to the edit and I'm modifying this Deepak contact to Viharika's save. Now let me go to Viharika account. So I have moved out one contact from this account. So it means that here we should get 2 and here we have 3 contacts. So here it should be 3 in the Viharika's. Total contacts is 3. And here you can see total contacts 2, right? It got updated. One got reduced, one got added. Yes or no?
Yes.